I'm Vikas Kohli of Fat Labs. Fat Labs is actually my personal studio where I compose for films, and I also work with a lot of artists from different genres. I do a lot of co-writing with artists, as well as do my own compositions, and I produce punk bands, pop artists, Indian artists, classical artists, jazz artists. I have musical ADD, so I like lots of variety, and then I'm always looking for ways to convince a jazz artist to work with a country artist, or convince an Indian artist to work with a rock artist, or something like that, so that hopefully we can create something that no one ever thought of creating. Whenever I listen to music, or see a painting, or a film, or anything, I always, as an audience member, go in thinking, what am I going to see that I haven't seen before? And I figure if that's what I expect as an audience, then whenever I'm trying to create something, I want to try my best to do the same thing for whoever's going to be the audience for my work. I think it's always the best when this scenario has happened a lot, where, say there's a rock band in the studio, and they look over and they see there's a sitar in the corner. They say, "Oh, what is that?" And I say, "It's a sitar." And they say, "That's cool." And I said, "Why don't you play it?" And they usually say, "I don't know how to play a sitar." And I say, "You play a guitar, it has strings, this has a string, play it." And with little coaxing, they play it, and I love the fact that it will often make it onto the album, all these sort of impromptu sort of proddings. And I don't know, I think that's kind of the coolest thing. It's always the unexpected stuff, or a lot of times when you're making a song, you'll be playing and you'll hit a bum note, and you think, oh, actually that sounds kind of cool. So again, it's always those mistakes that happen that I think are interesting, like cooking. Well, Bhangra is more traditional Punjabi music, and so it's a folk form, very dole oriented, which is a large drum played with sticks. And Bollywood is the musical pop form of Indian music. So it's actually similar to what I sort of do. It's if you think of it, a huge melting pot of all sorts of musical styles. Obviously, the indigenous musical styles are predominant in the music. There's usually some elements of Bhangra, but there'll be some South Indian elements. There'll be some, elements from various regions of India, and they always are incorporating elements from other genres. Like in the 60s and 70s, there was a huge funk movement that was injected into Bollywood sound film scores. And you can hear that all the time. And then, the past few years, there was a lot of Latin music made it in. There's been an influence of hip hop recently, rock. So it's always been this big pop sort of melting pot for everything, all sort of framed with an Indian aesthetic, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah, well, a score, there's always two elements to doing a score. So first, from a broad perspective, when you're doing an album, like an artist album, then really it's the music is it, right? And then if the artist shoots a video, it's based on the music, and if they do a photo shoot, it's based on the music. Like, the music is the guiding principle. But when you do music for a film, the film is the dictating art form, and the music has to support the film. So and it can fall into, you can have like feature tracks in movies, which are like pop songs, but again, the lyric has to tie in somehow to the narrative of the film. And if you're doing more of a background type score, again, it has to support the scene. So it's all about, you're not trying to steal the thunder away from the picture. The story and the narrative has to still be predominant in the film, whereas when you're working with an artist, if they shoot a video, the film is subservient to the music. So that's kind of like the play that you have to sort of balance between the two.